Golf for the NES is a Japanese game based on a Scottish sport where you play as an Italian-American plumber from Brooklyn. At this point, I'm starting to lose count of how many different jobs Mario has had. Like, to the point where I'm pretty sure I've made that joke about how I'm forgetting how many jobs he had at least 3 or 4 times now. Golf might actually be the most overhated NES game. I've checked a lot of people's rankings of the launch titles, and Golf is consistently pretty low in those rankings. Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but just hear me out. I actually think Golf is the best of the black box sports games I've played so far. Now, I know that isn't a really high bar to clear considering its competition, but I can appreciate its complexity and innovation more than I can for tennis, and unlike baseball, its complexity doesn't get in the way of its enjoyability. Now, I have no idea how this is the case, but Golf is still to this day the best-selling golf video game of all time. Although obviously that doesn't include Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, since they aren't straight-up golf games, they're just sports compilations, with golf as one minigame. Speaking of which, Wii Sports golf courses are recreations of the NES games courses, which is another reminder that Nintendo has always enjoyed calling back to stuff they made decades ago. To the surprise of absolutely no one, this game was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto. At this point, I'm pretty sure I've reviewed more games designed by Miyamoto than games that weren't. More surprisingly is that this game was programmed entirely by Satoru Iwata, 4th president of Nintendo. I had never really looked into Satoru Iwata that much until I made this video. It turns out he was a much more important part of Nintendo than I ever realized. He started working for HAL Laboratory all the way back in 1980 and became its president in 1993. He had an insane resume, with some of the games he helped to develop including Balloon Fight, Earthbound, Kirby, and the original Smash Brothers, to name a few. He also programmed a pretty good golf game, and I'm going to talk about that now. Okay, to start this out, the title screen's a little bare bones, but that's fine. This was one of the first launch titles they made, so it's understandable that this would be so basic. Simple sport, simple title, nothing wrong with that. I feel the same way about the graphics. There isn't much to them, but they're clear and distinct enough to where they don't detract from the gameplay. This game contains a full 18-hole course, which I find to be really impressive for one of the first NES games ever. Even Wii Sports only had 9 holes. You have 14 clubs in total, 3 woods, 8 irons, a pitching wedge, a sand wedge, and a putter. I'd never heard of a wood club before, since all of my knowledge of golf comes from Wii Sports. It turns out it's just a class of clubs that hit the ball further than irons. The one wood is also known as the driver, which is what it's called in Wii Sports. I think drivers sounds way cooler, but that's beside the point. Does everyone else already know this? Did I just waste my time? I don't know, I learned a lot about golf from this game, it was interesting. The clubs are conveniently organized in a straight order from strongest to weakest. The driver's used for hitting the ball across the entire course in one shot, the putter's used for hitting the ball on the green, and everything in between is used for, well, everything in between. Now, having 14 different kinds of clubs sounds like an overcomplicated nightmare. But somehow I was able to correctly guesstimate which club I should use about 90% of the time. Now I want to make it clear that doesn't mean I was good at this game. In fact, I'm terrible at it, but I still had a really good time playing it, and I feel like I was improving as I kept playing. This game uses a power meter to determine how far you hit the ball. While power meters like this are commonly used in golf games today, this was a new thing back then. The first tap of the A button starts your swing, the second tap sets the power, the third tap sets the impact position. It's a simple system, but it's very intuitive and easy to understand. This does unfortunately mean that the B button is never used in the entire game. That's always really annoyed me. I mean, hello, there are 2 bright red buttons on the front of the controller, could you use them please? Even if it was for something small, I mean, it would be something. My only real complaint is that putting is kinda awkward. It's hard to judge how much power you should use, and I overshot most of my shots. When I was writing this, I was also going to complain about the ball sloping on the green for no reason, but that's because the green is actually sloped. The ground is literally made up of arrows pointing to the direction that it's sloped in. I genuinely have no idea how I didn't figure that out. That's embarrassing on my part. I have to say I really like the level design of each hole. While there are some forgettable ones, there aren't any holes that I would consider outright bad. My favorite hole is probably number 13. Although I have to say, a whole being comprised of a bunch of islands sounds like a terrible idea logistically. I mean, wouldn't you have to get on a boat for every single island? I know about golf carts, I didn't know anything about golf boats. You know, maybe this game is actually about Mario's vacation to Venice where he played golf one day. At the end of the game, my score ended up being plus 59. I mean, that's atrocious, but whatever, I had fun. And that's golf for the NES. Like a lot of Nintendo's best games, it turned a very simple idea into a great experience. Now, when it comes to the ranking, I think I'm going to put it right above tennis. Is it a masterpiece? No. But it's just fun. I've never really understood why so many people hate this game. I mean, sure, it's not great, but I think it's about equal to tennis, and it's leaps and bounds better than baseball. Baseball is fantastic. In fact, hold on one second. I need to do one little thing. Yeah, here we go. Okay, joke's over. 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Like and subscribe. Bye.